percolating in the background. And here we go.
There it
Let's see.
goes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the NOMA. No, it's not. It's the NMOA. National Mail Order Association. Right? John Schulte founded it, and it's been around, and there's thousands of members on the YouTube group, on the LinkedIn group. So I invite you to check that out. Basically, we're putting up WDMA content, and if you go to nmoa.org, you'll find that. And join the digital resistance right there. Thank you, David Foley, for that cool airmail type logo. And we can use some help. If you want to post content, you want to tell me about what you do. One of the biggest challenges I have is that my biggest supporters don't always tell me what they're up to. And unless they post blogs or something, which I usually follow, it doesn't necessarily make the news, and it should, I think. But, I scour the news every day to try and find something that might interest you. And today we're going to talk about Tom Fishburne. Generative AI adoption, okay? Let's transform our entire business using the generative AI I just used to write a poem about my dog. And one of the things I've been impressed with is the silly limericks and things that ChatGPT can come up with. So that may give you something. But HubSpot CTO Dharmesh Shah said at the start of the year, Netscape was to the internet what ChatGPT is to artificial intelligence. The internet existed before Netscape, but the browser helped millions of mere mortals connect the dots on what could be done and the dream of what could be. So I actually verified that. Sorry, Tom. You get the backstory of the backstory from this show. And ChatGPT came out in 1994, which was before the internet was publicly available. I got on the internet about right as it was open to the public. I actually viewed it in 1994 in November or so. Watched a tour of the Louvre. A friend showed me over his shoulder. And, I was using Chameleon for web browser development in 1995. But as it turns out, Mosaic was the precursor, and the name Netscape came along in 1994. But so it was before the internet was public. So, we all have vague notions of what it was like back before the internet. But thankfully, the internet can correct our mistakes. So anyway, so basically no one was on the internet before Netscape. You might have been a college professor or something, but that was really the two go hand in hand. So in a sense, he's right. But anyway, so as this breakout year for generative AI unfolded, the analogy has largely come true. Unlike some technology breakthroughs that find adoption in organized silos or bubble up from the bottom, generative AI has been widely accessible from the start. And so was Netscape. And so was the internet. From the start that you could get on it if you weren't some kind of NASA scientist. And before that, it really wasn't colorful. The internet was you had to type commands and things like that. I was on exec PC in the 80s, and I was a SysOp for a direct marketing chat group on exec PC, and I would write reviews of DMA shows, and we would have interaction out there in the mid 80s, just to let you know. It wasn't the internet, but it was CompuServe, I believe. No, it was before CompuServe. It was before, wow, there's a lot of stuff. Anyway, so anyway, but the real internet came on in the World Wide Web came on with Netscape. That's the way it is. So, AI was coined in the 1950s, I believe, and it basically has meant anything that computers could do that actually worked. 79% of respondents say they've had some exposure to Gen AI, and 22% are regularly using it in their work. Be careful with that. Okay, 1/3 say their organizations are already regularly using it, and 3/4 expect AI to cause significant or disruptive changes in the nature of the industry's competition in the next 3 years. Salesforce reported that 67% of IT leaders are prioritizing generative AI for business in the next 18 months, and 1/3 naming it a top priority. And of course, we've been through this before. We've been through this for data decision making and big data. Remember that? And then big data needed the analytics, which didn't really solve the problem. And we've had just over and over and over these huge claims, but AI is not plug and play. Not plug and play. There still aren't a lot of guardrails. McKinsey found that just 21% of organizations using AI have established policies at all. Only 32% are mitigating the risks of inaccuracy, only 25% for the risks of intellectual property infringement. This early experimentation stage with generative AI will eventually mature. Like the insights from Eric Vandervelde, the AI practice chair at Gibson Dunn, it was foreign boards 15 years ago who started to think about privacy and have chief privacy officers at the design level and of products and services. The same thing is going to happen with AI. It'll take all the fun out of it, right? Have you figured out how AI will impact our business? Working on it. How will AI impact our business? There are many ways AI can impact, It always seems to start with there are many ways. How did you get budget approval for all this? I just told them the name of the project. AI, right? Okay. And AI turns this single bullet point into a long email I can pretend I wrote. AI makes a single bullet point out of this long email I can pretend I read. And that's probably the most likely scenario of all, right? And I think it's interesting that the AI professionals or the IT professionals are jumping on this with such fervor, because most of the IT professionals that I've worked with, I used to joke about our IT head, and I said, I could offer him a trip around the world if he'd just write a one-page essay on why he wanted to go, and I'd never have to buy it. Because typically IT people don't have a lot of verbal skills. They don't have a lot of people skills, not necessarily. They want to go, and he said he wanted to be a manager. He said his number one fear was to be in a little room where we passed notes under the door. Well, we had email, so we didn't have to do that. But he liked to come in at 7 at night and work till 7 in the morning. And I said, at a minimum, you might have to work with people if you want to be a manager. That's kind of a minimum threshold. And to work with people, you might have to be here when the people are here. Anyway, let's see. I obviously have I have a lot of articles up here from Friday. We had a bit of a challenge on Friday. Okay, now next, I just want to talk about digital mail volume briefly. There's been a 13% decrease, and that's one of the WDMA supporters and I were talking over dinner, and while we were talking, this is last week, I don't remember, Wednesday or Thursday or something, and while we were talking, they got a call from one of their big clients that said they're changing their mailer and they're not going to put a return envelope in it, or not the kind that this printer produces, and it was a big order. And you know, their IT people said that they didn't like opening envelopes. And the printer actually found a machine that would open all the envelopes for them of the size that they were making, and had proven in split testing that the envelopes produced 4 times more return on investment, incremental increase in the giving. But the IT people have a lot of pull, okay? And they don't like mail for the most part, my experience. But anyway, that's why we need marketing people. And that's sometimes why we need somebody that can explain testing, because the IT people sometimes do like testing. They like the idea of knowing something for sure, and they think marketing is the soft underbelly of business that is easily pierced and eviscerated. Patrick Carroll from SQL Response said this fall off a 15% year-over-year decline may look startling, but when you remove the mortgage and loan sector, we're less than 7% off the pace, which is still a lot. You know, I remember telling Dick Cabela, and somebody jokes, they have a drinking game whenever I mention Cabela's, that we could cut 20% of the mailing and only cut 5% of the sales. He said, I don't want to cut 5% of the sales. I'd have to lay people off. Well, he might not have to if we were massively more profitable. But because I didn't know how to explain it in those days, I didn't know how to explain the incremental benefits and say that you could apply it to prospecting rather than selectively eliminating some of the very worst customers. We didn't really get the full power of it, and we didn't make the kind of money we could have. And the IT people got us fired. They said, oh, anybody can do this, which of course wasn't true, and the results went to garbage after that, I was informed. But IT people, you got to teach them. You got to teach them. They always report to finance, almost always, and finance especially, you have to teach them. Okay, but the travel industry's direct mail is up 22%, but obviously it doesn't make up the finance sector, because the finance sector is one of the biggest. And here's a nifty infographic that shows down 14.8%, down 5.7%. More than 80% of credit card mailers are acquisition mailings. I'm always surprised that they don't put more in the billing. You know, I still get paper bills. It helps me remember to pay things. We worked with the Hudson Bay Company before Cabela's, helping them put inserts into their mailer for some of their favorite products. Okay, here's a good article. Really like this one. No, AI won't change your marketing job. A contrarian perspective. AI is not a panacea to your business woes. AI will not fix your unproductive team. AI will not catapult your career overnight. The argument, his argument from Scott Garrett says there are 3 tenets. You need emotional intelligence, you need human relationships, and AI is a tool, not a replacement for humans, or we have bigger problems than this. Knowing how to work with people and empowering them to bring their best remains unchanged as technology advances. Generative AI is exciting, but it will not replace the need for humans to interact with humans. If it ever does, we have a species that have a much bigger problem. Take a course on public. If you want to, you can either spend time learning AI, or better yet, he says, take a course on public speaking, or read about how emotions impact decision making. Excellent point. Focusing your time on soft skills, becoming more of a people person, improving your overall emotional intelligence will make you a much more rounded professional than knowing the ins and outs of AI, especially since they're going to change it. Whatever you learn to do, whatever hacks or whatever prompts you write, as I pointed out yesterday or last week, the prompts for the AI email message were longer than an email message by quite a bit. AI cannot anticipate nor respond to the emotional reactions of those receiving the message. Human, not artificial relationships. Developing and maintaining and growing relationships is the most important skill in your career. I think that's been true for me, even though I pioneered machine learning, which is one of the highest level variants of AI at the moment. If you don't have people skills, people do not trust you and do not offer you help. We're looking for help with the digital revolution. You don't have to spend the $20 a month, less than $1 a day, a work day. It's about 75 cents a day. If your boss can't give you that, you can still subscribe over at wdma.org. You'll be kept aware of more of our stuff. You can join in our roundtables and our get-togethers, which we need to have one in September. And we will have one in September, I promise. And you can also repost these videos. I encourage you to watch them. Say something, comment and repost seems to be the biggest driver of the LinkedIn algorithm. So that's very, very helpful for me. Likes don't seem to do much, but reposts and comments really do. And obviously I say enough controversial things. You can rip me to shreds every day if you like. I will thank you for it. Okay. A lack of strong relationships limits your prospect of advancing in any organization. Your contributions will likely be undervalued or unnoticed. Absolutely right. And as I learned when I was an absolute expert in Symphony, is once they change the interface, you're obsolete. An 8th grader will know more than you know shortly. And if you think you can quickly learn the new interface, your past training will limit your ability to absorb an entirely new interface. And then Quattro Pro will come along, and then Excel will change the interface on you, completely changing everything and moving everything around. And they do it regularly just to make you feel stupid. So AI will do the same thing to you, I guarantee it. It will do it over and over and over. So the newest person in the organization that has no idea what the business is about will know more about AI than you do. So get to know the people around you, because few people succeed unless many people want them to. I saw that on the bottom of a business calendar one time, and it's really been true. AI chatbots cannot and should not replace the human element, because AI will not change your need to speak with your customers and collect information directly from them, which they will be happy to give you if they trust you. Many of us hate speaking robots or chatbots. Many businesses have placed reducing costs over human connections, and so you will create less quality content and miss the uniqueness of that only humans can create. And marketing is largely nuance. Now we'll get over to the last article, the science of direct mail, the psychology and how it influences response rates. Human psychology can be the key to unlocking unparalleled success. Psychology shapes the effectiveness of direct mail. Tangibility has a nostalgic charm. The act of physically holding a piece of mail triggers an intimate engagement in that digital channel. Even the no's. Of course, the yeses. We all know the yeses. Every medium knows the yeses, but only direct marketing has engagement with people who are not interested. That's what makes AI work in direct mail. Personalization, which we'll probably skip. If you personalize it, people think that they have a connection with you. I'm not sure if that's true. Direct mail has the power to evoke a range of emotions, and so you better know something about people, right? One of the things I've always had as a skill was the ability to predict the value of a mailing piece. When I went to visit Southwest Bell, they said, well, before we start this best practices session, we'd like to just give you a quiz. And they had 3 folding tables, the long ones, seat 8 people. They had 3 of those laid out with 60 plus mailing pieces. And they said, which one do you think did the best? I should have walked away, but I was arrogant in those days, and I did know something about something. And so I looked them all over fairly carefully. I took my time, and I picked one up. And they said, how did you do that? That's our number 2 piece out of 60. I said, well, it had an honest look about it. You can do that in direct mail. Honest look from a phone company, that's something rare. Okay, so emotionally charged mail pieces stand out in the clutter and leave a lasting impact, paving the way for higher conversion rates. All of this is about people, right? AI doesn't care about you. It doesn't care if you don't like its copy. Okay? you can emphasize the scarcity principle. Now, AI will figure out some of this stuff and mimic it, but it could do it badly. It could actually invert what you really want to say. People could interpret it as sarcastic. You can emphasize exclusivity and urgency, authenticity and credibility, and I've mentioned that already. Direct mail can really bring together the psychology, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go read Scientific Advertising. Go to scientificadvertising.com. Read Claude Hopkins' book from 100 years ago, and he says that he learned everything he knew from the direct mail industry and how they tested and how they knew what they were talking about. And it's one of the greatest books of all time. And David Ogilvy's Confessions of an Ad Man, also he credits the direct mail industry for teaching him almost everything he knew about the effectiveness of advertising. Have a great day. Comment, repost, and your friends will know you're smart. Bye-bye.